Welcome back to the second segment here, and we're here with the hopefully future mayor of Kirtland, Kevin Potter, and you can check out his Leadership with Action flyer that you sent out. And so we talked about protecting your tax dollars. If you didn't see that, you need to watch that because the taxes get thrown a lot. No offense in the political campaigning, taxes. So having actual facts and truth behind the tax claims is awesome. So the second segment, we're talking about committed to listening and communicating with our residents. So that's something where I feel, again, I'm stuck on those dang roads things. So I don't care if things got messed up with the roads. I mean, I'm not happy, but again, I wasn't there. I wasn't spending my free time like you are to go out and ask questions and, do the things that city council does and what you're committed to do as a mayor. So, but it's at least if we're off course, let me know.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I guess that I'm very interested kind of hearing about listening and communicating.
So I was elected to city council in November of 2015, took office on December 1st, or if December 1st was on a Sunday, then the 2nd was a Monday, and that's when I took office. So early December, right?
It was a good day. It was magical.
And the first thing that I did as a city council person was started something called, maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. It's typically on the front page of the Kirtland Chronicle every month. It's coffee
Best
with council.
newspaper ever.
It is, it is. It's called Coffee with Council.
Okay.
So once a month, we open up city council chambers.
Okay.
And 1, 2, 4 council people are there. We get in early. Myself, Joe Smolik, your councilman.
Love Smolik, yes.
Smolik brings...
Joe Smolik, vote for Smolik.
Absolutely,
I love him, man.
for sure.
Yeah.
I call Joe the hardest working councilman in Kirtland's history.
He runs his own business and
I'll get an email from Joe at 2:30 in the morning or a text message that's something that he's got something. There's a burning desire in Joe's mind to get an answer to something.
Yeah.
He's been phenomenal, especially in sitting from the position of new council people a couple years ago. He and I didn't know him from Adam, forged a relationship, and so Joe's been phenomenal. But anyhow, and Joe's been at probably just about every coffee with council. Anyhow.
Yep. He's very committed.
What we do is we get in there a little bit early at City Hall. We move all the chairs that are in there. We set up tables, bring coffee, donuts in, and from month to month, and we haven't missed a month from December of 2015, it's an open invitation to residents, and we've had, I think maybe during a snowstorm one time, maybe we only had 6, but a lot of times we have 20 and 25
That's
residents.
awesome.
They come in, and we give them kind of an update. It's totally informal because, what happens is, and I remember this before I was on city council, I would come to a council meeting and I'd have a question. And it's kind of intimidating. There's this panel of 8 people and this wall of department heads, and the mayor sits over there, and you want to ask a question, you're pretty nervous about it, right? Or you have a comment.
Yeah.
And so I remember that, so I said, okay, well, let's create an atmosphere, a place, a forum,
welcoming in that
for
way,
our residents. So we sit down at a table. We're not up on the dais, right?
Yeah.
Sitting around a table, and we give them a quick update, and then residents, it's their time. They ask questions. We give them the best answers that we can.
That's awesome.
And we've done that once a month, and so as part of it,
is it like the first Monday of the month?
It mostly depends. We try to make it. The Chronicle typically comes out the first Friday of the month.
Okay.
So we try to make it the following Saturday, so 8 days after.
8 days after, you get the world's greatest newspaper, the Kirtland Chronicle. So give or take, plus or minus.
Many times, yeah, plus or minus.
Ish.
It's never minus, but it's always plus.
Okay, always plus. Plus-ish.
Right, because we don't have coffee with council before the paper comes out. So anyhow, but no, residents. I mean, and it's not always the same 25 people or 20 people. I mean, there's probably a few residents that maybe haven't missed more than 2 or 3 of them. But it's a good, there's a good cycle through of new residents to come to ask a question or just sit there and listen and learn, right?
Yeah.
About something. Maybe they get their question answered in this roundtable kind of discussion.
Yeah.
And then they don't even have to answer it. But that's number one. Number two is once I became council president, another thing I remembered from being a resident and not on city council was if I would get up to a council meeting early, council chambers is empty, but I'd look down the hall and I would see this back room, right? And in that back room, with the door closed to that hallway, but there was a glass window that you could see down through there, I would see, the mayor and council people and law director and the clerk, and they'd be having a meeting, and I just assumed it was a closed door meeting. The door was closed most of the time, and so at some point I found out that it was where the council work session was going on, and in that council work session was some of the dialogue that you didn't hear out in the open meeting of council.
Gotcha.
So it was open to the public, but public didn't really feel like it was open to them.
Right.
And so as I was a council member, not yet council president for the first 2 years, I remember being very uncomfortable when I'd see residents down the hall, just like I was, not coming down to hear what's going on, see what's going on. We're talking about important things, right?
Yeah.
Upcoming legislation, new plow truck, new fire truck, whatever, the budget. And so anyhow, once I became city council president, it was also the feeling of several others on council that were at least in agreement that we hold our work sessions in council chambers.
Okay.
And there's been some pushback. There's been some, well, I think we do better around a close-knit table like that. I find that to be entirely untrue. We have just the same
Smaller
dialogue.
the table, the bigger the results.
Right, exactly.
All right?
Yeah. Right. So
Key to success,
right, exactly.
Key to success
Yeah.
right there. Small tables.
we need a TV
All right.
tray then in that case.
Yes. Get
But
your TV tray and change lives.
So,
Sorry.
right. so anyhow, so most of our council meetings, there's been a couple where the mayor really insisted, or in the earlier part of my tenure as council president, really wanted to have this meeting, and so I acquiesced and said, okay, sure, whatever. So, but for the most part, so that way when residents come in at 6:45 or 6:35 or 10 to 7, they come in and then they see that this is going on. They come right into council chambers and they sit in there, hear what's going on. Or they know that there's a council work session that starts at 6 or 6:30, and they get there then, and they...
But two, they get to hear what's really going on, and then you don't have to keep repeating what you just
Right,
talked
because
about.
otherwise,
That
right.
makes sense.
So for one, you've taken down that wall of, open up the door of transparency. Right?
You're transparent. And I feel like transparency is like an overplayed word.
It
but
is.
It could not be the most important thing, especially in what you're doing. Is like, again, this is my personal bias coming out of like, well, if they're in politics, then they're hiding something. So if you can lift the veil of like what's actually happening, then you're like, okay, see, we're not out. We're not scary. We're not out to get you. We're actually here. And I think you're working for us.
Correct.
You're not like.
Correct. And when I would make the suggestion, and I made the suggestion early on to do that in that open council chambers with some of that pushback, just like discussion around the road levy, say, listen, we're not doing anything subversively. We're not doing anything, that we don't want the public to know about. But why create that perception, right? Because that perception's hard to overcome.
Correct.
Once you've begun that. So
if you hear that same story in your head, even if it's a lie, if you've heard it enough times, then it's true.
Yeah.
So
that's another thing that I think we've done a really good job at, opening ourselves up to the public, making residents feel comfortable when they come into a council meeting, having the floor for as long as they need to have the floor, within reason.
Yeah.
But honestly, I mean, not too long ago, we had a resident that was very concerned about the high rates of speed that people travel on Kirtland Chardon Road, and I don't know, he may have been up there for 15 to 20 minutes, and asking what we can do for him or the rest of the residents of Kirtland, right, to stop that. And he needed the time to tell the story. And I wasn't interrupting him. Didn't say thank you, noted, please sit down. So anyhow,
you're not just going through the motions.
Exactly. From the level of communication, I've spent, I don't know how many, guaranteed hundreds of hours, just like Mr. Smolik that we talked about before, in someone's front yard, at their kitchen table, on the phone, while I'm driving to or from work, been late to meetings, late to work meetings, But listening to those residents' concerns, then trying to get something done for them, at least try to get them an answer.
Yeah.
So on the communication, and so in the same kind of lighter vein that I talk about that coffee with council, I'm going to have mayor's hours. If I'm elected, then I will have mayor's hours, or people can feel comfortable to come up and have a one-on-one, so they don't have to come in that formal, stifled atmosphere of a city council meeting if they don't feel comfortable there.
No matter, no matter how confident you are in yourself or how sure you are in your, in your stance and whatever, it's just that whole intimidation factor.
It takes things down and it drops things down.
Yeah, we got a party going on outside.
Right, the sidewalks,
so
they're trying to get in and hear what we're talking about. Closed door meeting.
Yeah,
We've got our own closed door
we're
meeting
not practicing what we're
right.
preaching. Closed door meeting. Get out of here. So, but no. So from the standpoint of communication, we can do a better job. We will do a better job. Open ourselves up to the residents, and guess what? It's not just about sitting there and listening to their concerns. It's about listening to their ideas too. Mm-hmm. A lot of residents have a lot of really good ideas. Mm-hmm. Things. Again, these are part-time jobs for council people. Yeah. And hopefully the mayor spends more time than a council person, right? In that role for the city, but still, it's still a part-time job. Still going to go to work every day and earn a living, right? Albeit I'm 12 minutes away over here in Willoughby at Gear Tech. Yeah. But Gear Tech, best place on earth.
Right.
So besides Kirtland,
right?
Kind of the same, but equal. I just ruined it. All right.
No, you didn't. So anyhow, so just having that open dialogue, that open communication, that granting, I don't say granting, I mean you're giving something that I authorize you to. No, that's not what we're doing. But just making people feel comfortable to share their ideas, their concerns.
Well, it's treat people like the human beings that they are. Be another human.
How would you like to be treated? How would I like to be treated? Right?
Golden rule, right?
Exactly.
So, awesome. Well, thank you very much, my man. Appreciate it. Thank you for checking out this second segment on Committed to Listening and Communicating with Our Residents. So, thank you for that. Appreciate it, my man.
James.
Thank you for treating us how we want to be treated. It means a lot.
All right, well, I appreciate you recognizing that.
All right, cool. And come back for the third and final segment. If you missed the first segment, check that out as well. So very good stuff. Very excited. Very excited.